welcome to my video of the Mojave Desert Ride 2024. Out here riding with my good buddies Steven and Carl and James and Kieran. 5 of us out here enjoying the desert for a few days. Towards the beginning of the day, after we got all the bikes situated, navigating through the desert trying to pick up the trail from the GPS. There's so many miles of trails out here, it's hard to find the one you want once in a while. There we are, we just picked up the trail. The sand is deep on this first section. We're towards the valley floor, so it all kind of settles down in these big, deep sand pits. The trails just go on for miles with this deep sand. Climb a little bit of altitude here, get more on the ridge. The sand isn't so thick on this. You really start to open the bikes up. Here's Kieran, our friend from Australia, riding this sweet little KTM 250 4-stroke. Lightest bike in the bunch. I'm sure he had a lot of fun. As we extend up towards the crest there, the road's nice and flat, you can start to carry a lot of speed. Especially with that sand not as thick. And as we climb up a little bit higher towards the peak there, you can see in the distance, it reminded me a lot of Hollister SVR in Central California. Wide open fire trails, you can really rip and carry a lot of speed going up. And as we climb, we get some pretty good views. The valley floor off to the left there is where the trucks were parked. Same trail, a mile or so ahead. We're now on the other side of the mountain, looking up the northwest area. Get around this hairpin and you'll see the tower we're headed up towards. This is the very top of the mountain ridge, the peak we're headed towards. It's hard to tell when you're down at the trucks which particular peak we are on. Sure is a great ride up to this point though. It started to get a little chilly as we climbed elevation. We're riding in mid-November 2024, so it's pretty cold. And there's Carl fooling around, kicking some dust up at me. On our way back down, we navigated down to the valley floor, and here we are headed back towards the trucks. This whole section is very fun, it's very fast. Some washouts, like this right here, you catch them just right and get some pretty good air. Sand was sure thick though. My 300-pound bike seems to bury in it pretty good. Here we are coming up on Carl. His rear seat fell off, lost 3 bolts, and rattled itself to bits.
Oh, you lost both your bolts. Huh.
Thankfully on my saddlebags there I had a couple extra spare straps there we were able to use to get the bike back home.
I might be able to push this through right here. Go up and over the fender. And then through that floor.
The next morning we got up, went to Home Depot, got some Loctite, some bolts mounted back on the bike so we didn't have this problem again.
Excellent GoPro footage.
Here's the last little stretch back towards the trucks. Again, nice and flat, doing about 45, 50 miles an hour through the desert. Of course, James, Kieran, and Steven were way ahead of us at this point. They were probably flying through the sand right there. Here's the end of the day on day 1, wrapping it up, stopping back off with the trucks. Here's day 2. Drove another about half mile farther in towards the desert to start this day. Half hour, I mean, towards into the desert from yesterday. Start the day with very similar terrain. A little bit more elevation change right at the beginning. The sand wasn't as thick, not as deep on all the other trails. I just started to climb up that elevation and my bike was feeling good. That little extra weight that I got compared to the other bikes, I think it really keeps me stable at the higher speeds. Wild to be flying through the desert at 60. You can only imagine what those guys down in Baja are doing on the Baja 1000s. We got towards the mountains, it started to tighten up a little bit, much more elevation change. Trails were more rocky, not as packed with silky sand. Section was very fun. We climbed something like 5,000 or 6,000 foot elevation just on the second day alone. As we climbed, the fog was rolling in. The trail tightened up. It was a lot of fun. This whole section, day 2, was a blast. Rolling out of the fog, you could really see the mountains and the brush. Down by the trucks, it got about 60 degrees or so. As we started to climb, it got really cold. felt absolutely perfect. There's plenty of traction through here. So Carl's on a 2006 Honda CRF 450X. Nice, light, nimble little bike. Here I am chasing him. I think ahead of us is James. He's on a KTM 350. Here's James. It's the only time the whole trip I followed him. Directly behind him anyway. Told him I gotta get some GoPro footage of him. Guy's fast, man. He's a great rider. Extremely precise too. As I was watching, he knew exactly where to put those wheels. Started to pull away from me, and at one point I lost him and never found him again until we all stopped. We are starting to descend back down the floor towards the beginning where we started the day. Back on the desert here. And my bike was feeling great through this section. See how loose it is though. It's one of those things, you just kind of got to let the front of the bike do what it's going to do, and don't try to force it too hard, otherwise you're going to fly right off it. This is that last little section back towards the trucks. Super fast. That's about it. Here we are back towards the trucks. Thanks for watching, and I'll let you guys know about the next one.